just be audio.
Not a problem.
All right. I'll go ahead and just get right into it.
Just fire away, brother.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 42 of the Snake in the Draft podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Vines. You can find me on Twitter at jsnake_DFF. In this episode, I have Nels V coming on the podcast. You can find his stuff over at Dynasty Depot, which is actually a really cool thing we're going to be talking about. You can actually auction off dynasty leagues that are FFPC, and it's actually super exciting. I was looking into it. So Nels V, you should follow them over on Twitter at the Dynasty Depot. He's the co-founder of the Dynasty Depot, and we're going to be talking about new ways to find those dynasty orphans, and also just some our own thoughts on how to find the right orphans for you. So welcome, Nels. How are you?
Jacob, thank you very much for having me on this evening. Very excited to be here. Very excited to talk to you about Dynasty Depot, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you reached out because the more I look into it, the more exciting it is. I've already said multiple times on my podcast, I'm not going to join any new dynasty leagues this year just because I went too crazy last year. But man, you tempted me with your site here. It looks really cool.
It's an amazing. It's a labor of love. It's funny. A lot of people ask me how it came about. I'm the owner of 110 dynasty teams with FFPC.
Woo!
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are very busy. They're waiver days for me, and try to figure out a way to create some action in the off season, and that's how we came up with Dynasty Depot.
Nice. I'm just going to go and let you explain a little bit behind Dynasty Depot, and then we'll just dig a little bit deeper throughout the podcast.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. So Dynasty Depot was created to create action in the off season. So beginning January 4th, live auctions will begin for FFPC Dynasty teams. Now, there's over 10,000 teams at least that play on the FFPC platform. So you will have the opportunity, if you own a dynasty team there, to buy one, to sell one, to day trade one, which I'll talk about, different ways to get involved in the offseason, because it's once the season's over, we all get a little bored, Jacob. You can only trade so many players and so many teams around. This is a way to create action for you.
Awesome. And so with FFPC, I wanted to dig into that just a little bit because some people won't know what that actually is. So it is, you can do just general dynasty leagues as well as Superflex. With it, it's a 20-round snake draft. And then each team, after the first year goes through, you drop down to 16 players from 20 to 16 on March 31st. And then you do a 7-round rookie draft, which then cuts down to 20 at the start of the season. So it is a pretty it's like a smaller, not as deep dynasty league. Like some people like me, I like 30 roster spots, 35. So it is a little bit deeper, but it also provides a different opportunity to decide, like, are you going to go for more? We'll get into this as well, but those studs versus more depth. And also with it, the starting lineup is start 8, and it also has start with a kicker and a defense. And then for super flex, one of those two flexes in that start 8 becomes that super flex. And I like how, you have on your auction, you can do both Dynasty 1 QB as well as Dynasty Superflex. It's pretty cool.
That's correct. So within FFPC Dynasty teams, you can have a best ball team, a Superflex best ball team. Okay. You can have a regular Superflex team. Okay. So there's different options for you there. So within their Dynasty program. For us, FFPC is the highest stakes leagues out there. They're known for the high stakes. They are the home of the main event out in Las Vegas, $500,000 event. They are the home of the Football Guys tournament, 10,000 teams, $500,000 first prize. So it's more of your high stakes players. The leagues run from $77 all the way up to $5,000. The meat of the bones there is the $250 and $500 leagues. So one of the cool things that we did within FFPC is we created what's called the Dynasty Depot leaderboard. So let's say you go on an auction and you want to buy a $77 team and you buy it for $10. Okay, you win the auction. When you are putting a team for sale, it'll run like eBay. You'll set a reserve. Okay, you'll set it, buy it now. So if this guy has a low reserve, he wants to get out because his wife wants him out of fantasy football and he has a $10 reserve and you win it. So let's say you win that auction at $10, $77, and say it's a super flex best ball team. Every week every owner of a team that purchased a team from Dynasty Depot, their points will transfer from FFPC to the Dynasty Depot platform. So if you score 215 this week, you'll hit Dynasty Depot's Superflex Best Ball tournament. We have our own game within a game for all teams purchased. Now, some will say, that's great, whatever. But the first place in each division is an FFPC main event seat. So that's worth $500,000. You get that. So say you spent $10, you worked the Jacob Snake magic, created a monster into that team, scoring out the win a main event seat. You could technically parlay that into $500,000. Even second place, we're giving away free $500 Dynasty teams. So each division, it doesn't matter if you pay $10 for the team or you pay $2,500. You'll hit Superflex Best Balls division. Your points will transfer each week to the Dynasty Depot leaderboard.
So with the leaderboard, I see that it says if you buy 5 teams, all 5 teams are entered into the leaderboard contest. So is that like if I have let's say I have 2 teams, those are 2 separate teams, correct?
They are. That's correct. So you could have, if you buy 20 teams, crazy people like me do, 110 teams, and you go buy 20 teams all within the same platform, standard, best ball, Superflex, Flex Best Ball. Okay, you'll have 20 entries into that leaderboard. That's correct.
Nice. And one thing I'll say as well, something that I don't think about a lot is I haven't done a best ball dynasty league yet. And so that's another option for people that, want to get that draft high in a way, but you don't have to deal with that setting your lineup every single week. And then waiver wire is still a thing, but you don't have to deal with that lineup setup. So I bet you have a decent amount of best balls, I would guess.
I do. Probably about 10% of my portfolio. I don't prefer them, but what we're thinking is that people are going to be buying these teams off Dynasty Depot because say you want to get into a $250 league, but that's a little out of your price range. Well, you might be able to, bargain shop, on our site and get yourself a $50 team this year that you're in a $250 league. Now, one of the really cool features we have with our mid-level tier membership, and all the people listening tonight, if you go to dynastydepot.com, you sign up for an all-pro membership, which is our middle package, put in Charter 20, okay, you're going to get it for 40% off for the rest of this month. We're going on Sirius XM radio in the middle of December, and once we do that, when we hit our commercials hit there, most of our promos to our pod friends are going to go away. So it's Charter 20, and it'll get you the mid-membership. But what that does, Jacob, is that gets you our texting service. So you bought an orphan before. So you have to go to the site. Hopefully a good one's posted. Hopefully you click on it, and hopefully it was the right time of day because the good teams go quick, as we all know. So at Dynasty Depot, with our all-pro package, Charter 20, okay, you'll get texting service every time a new team hits Dynasty Depot. The next second, you'll get a notification on your phone with that team popping up on your phone. You'll look at it in the middle of your day. Yes, no, maybe, click on it, bid, don't, whatever you want. But it'll give you, provide information for you in real time.
That's awesome. And one thing with the bidding, is it a certain time period, like the bid resets every hour or so, or is that set by the person actually wanting to sell the team?
That's a great question. You will have the option as a seller to set the reserve. We all know what a reserve is, the minimum price you'll accept for that team, a buy it now, and a bid time of 1, 3, or 5 days. So you can go power auction, you can go 5 days. Now, a caveat to all this is there's a $5 posting fee. That is not in there for my kid's college fund. That is in there so the guy with a $77 team doesn't post it for $3,500. We don't want people messing around with it. We want real action. We don't want to, excuse the French, bastardize the site with people doing goofy stuff. So you want to post it for $3,500, it's costing you $5. If your team sells, that money is refunded to you.
Okay. Also, with the buying and selling, let's say someone already has an FFPC league. Are they able to come on your site in let's say January, they have a membership and they can sell starting this year? Is that how that works?
That'll happen. As soon as week 16 ends, and the prize money is distributed the next morning, our auctions will open, which is on January 4th. The site is open now for memberships only, but you can get a good feel of what's going on. So what will happen is, if you are an FFPC member, you'll be signing on to Dynasty Depot with your FFPC credentials. So when you sign on, you will get a drop-down box of all your teams that will be shifted over to Dynasty Depot, so you'll have access to them. If you are not an FFPC member, it will prompt you to sign up with FFPC, because you need to be a member to buy an FFPC team. You'll also need to be geolocated. FFPC will do that, and FFPC will handle all the financial transactions. So when you have an FFPC account, your money will go, and you sell one of your teams, the money goes right into your FFPC account for you to do what you want. Request a check, buy more teams, whatever you want. Now, see, one of the things that we think is going to happen is people like to draft, right? Everybody likes drafting.
Oh, yeah.
The good drafters are going to start drafting mating teams in February, March, and April. They're going to draft them. They're going to put them up for sale without ever playing it down for try to make profits on it. So we think there's going to be a lot of that out there.
Interesting. Okay. So one thing that most people might not know, and I actually don't know the answer to this either, is, so let's say you have a normal FFPC league, you finish it, week 16's over. If you wanted to stop playing in that league, the normal thing would be you just lose out on the league and you don't make any money off of it at all, correct?
Yes. FFPC, when you sign up for a team with them, and I'm not sure how other people do or what you know, there is a deposit required. That deposit is because FFPC has never had a league that wasn't filled. So say you buy a $250 team, you pay a $100 deposit. Okay, that $100 deposit is there against you walking away from the team and sticking the league. So if you were to sell your team on Dynasty Depot, you will get your $100 deposit back, because Jake, the guy that bought the team, will be now putting that $100 deposit down.
Okay, and then you'd also get any money that was made on top of that. Like, let's say you have a $250 league, you sell your team for $200, so then you would get the 100 plus the 200, so you'd have 300. Whenever normally you would just lose out on it completely, right?
Well, yeah, you would get the 300 minus 50. Remember, the league has to be made full, right? So you lose $50 of your deposit because you sold your $250 team for 200. Which, by the way, is a lot better number than zero.
That's very true, because, I could see a lot of people just being like, I joined way too many leagues. They're trying to see a way out, and they have a relatively solid team, and they're like, all right, this is my option. And I think it's a good option because, some people have solid teams, and you're like, I'm in too many. Let's just get out, even. Let's just get out even and be done with it.
Well, it is. And to the sellers, what do people do when they have money in their platform's account? Okay, very rarely are you bringing that money home for the kids' college fund. You're basically upgrading to a higher level, buying a different team, doing whatever. So, that's the way we see this thing going. It is the sharp people out there are going to be the buyers, okay? Because the buyers are going to be able to find value. You'll be able to see, as you stated earlier, you'll have the team listed. You'll also have the exact draft picks listed, because remember, the season's over, so you'll know what rookie drafts in the 7-round draft that you have. So the sharp people will pick and choose and be able to figure out, what draft picks are here and where this team's going. The not sharp people will be buying the teams with Keenan Allen and Aaron Jones and people like that have a really good shot to win this year, but the long-term view isn't that great.
Yeah, and that's always the interesting discussion with doing Dynasty Orphans, is that, that balance between the youth and then the older players, and, trying to find that nice balance. Because, if you can get a couple of first-round draft picks, plus, you have enough players, like if you have a Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones, Julio Jones with like a DK Metcalf, and the rookies this year haven't been fantastic, but even like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire on your team, you're looking pretty balanced for the future as well as for now. And we're going to get into in just a moment, our thoughts on to find the good orphans. which I know you're going to have a lot more experience on this because you've actually done FFPC. I have not actually. I've talked to a couple of people who've done the drafts, and definitely was thrown off guard a little bit at the 20-round snake draft because I'm used to bigger leagues, like I've said. But if you understand how that changes the league dynamic, you can get a little bit of an advantage.
Well, and that's well said. Like I said, it's higher stakes players playing FFPC. Okay, that's not to say you can't buy a $35 best ball or a $77 dynasty team. Okay, which is a ton of fun. But the better players understand that balance. They really do. And when shopping for orphans, but like I said, in the past now, FFPC had a large number of orphans every year, large. And if you are like me, you're refreshing that page every 5 minutes for 4 months. That's not a lot of time. So now those teams will all be on Dynasty Depot, and with the text notification service with our All Pro membership, it's going to save you a lot of time. Out of all the people that have signed up already, we have very few that signed up at the bottom level to just bid, buy, and sell teams. It's the notifications. We've also a couple other cool things is our friends at Roster Watch. I don't know if you know Alex Dunlap and Byron Lambert, good friends of mine. They are going to be doing exclusive Dynasty rankings for us. They've never done Dynasty rankings. They're not going to be on their website, but they are going to be providing that for us. And in return for that, anybody that buys that mid-tier package from us, which I think is like $59 with the discount, you get a $59 Roster Watch All Pro subscription for free with us. We're throwing that in. That's part of our deal with Roster Watch. So that and the texting. And then we have one other little feature called the Hot Box. So when you go onto our page January 4th, there'll be a scrolling box as big as day there. And that'll put, if you want your team featured right on our front page, it'll be featured. And you also get some of that free with that. So it's a tremendous value. You know, we're trying to provide solid content along with our service.
Yeah, I like that. I always think it's always helpful whenever you have a couple of things bundled together, because then, like you said, it's a little bit more value. This may be a question that you may not do, but do you have it where you can like search for certain players or anything like that, like a search feature with the teams, or is that sort of where the texting may become more important, in that you could maybe get a easier screenshot of the teams themselves?
So it's a great question. And out of all the interviews in the press I've done, nobody's asked me that, but that was actually 2 weeks of our lives trying to figure out whether we were going to do that or not. The problem is to search for a dynasty team with CMC on it. What good does that do without seeing the picks? And it doesn't do any good. So we were going to do that. We were also going to rank the teams, but we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to do that either because nobody wants to see their team that's a mess, ranked, whatever. So it's going to be filtered by league, filtered by dollar amounts, and filtered by newest listings. So that's the way we decided to do it. It could change because we're anticipating from what we've got into. We're expecting within the first week to have at least 200 teams up for sale the first week. So there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of coming and going. You're going to need that tech service, or you're going to miss the bargains. You will, because somebody's going to put a buy it now on a good team, and they're just going to buy it now, right? You're not going to try to save $10 on a $500 team with a stacked team. You want to buy, you're in a $500, you're going to buy it, and that's what you want.
Yeah, that's a really good point I didn't think about, was the factor that you can just buy now instead of trying to bid it like at a lower amount. And also, like I did my leagues through Safe Leagues, which you have it to where you it's not a bidding thing, but you do have to look for those teams when they're brand new, because you're exactly correct that those teams that are older, people have already looked through them. They've already decided they don't want them, and the odds are that you don't want them either. So yeah, look at their teams brand new. I think the notifications is a nice touch, because you actually can get that first shot at it. And if you're a high stakes league player, which I don't know how many people listening, I know a couple people I've talked to on Twitter are, and that's actually really valuable because then you can get those teams that are a little bit more stacked, and then you can make more money to then, like we've already mentioned, get in either more high stakes leagues in general or higher quality stakes leagues.
Right. We believe there will be a step up. I mean, probably the most popular league going to be sold is our 77s and the 250s. The 77s on FFPC's orphan page, they don't last 5 minutes. You got to be online when they post that, or you're going to miss those because it's $77 league. Now, you're not going to get discounted $77 teams. So they're going to go up. Somebody going to put them up for auction, but it's going to be buy it now. But maybe it's a league winner, and that $77 guy just won his prize, and now is putting it up for $250 because it's a really stacked team. And he's looking to double down. That's going to happen on the buy it now price. But you'll be able to judge that by looking at people's buy it now prices. I mean, it should correlate to the quality and the youth and the good mix, as you said, of the team.
Yeah, and then like you already mentioned that if it doesn't, then they lose out on $5. And I like that y'all did that because it does actually, $5 is just that it's like not quite enough to make, or it's enough to make people be like, yeah, I'm not going to play that game. I want this team to actually sell.
Yeah,
you don't want to waste that money.
It is. And like I said, when that team sells, that money's refunded from your price. So we give that right back to you. We don't want the money. We just don't want playing around. That's all.
Yeah, I love that. So again, the All Pro membership was Charter 20 for 40% off. We're going to go ahead and go to our thoughts on like how to find good orphans in FFPC. Again, if anybody has any questions, I bet they could reach out to y'all on Twitter, I would guess is a good thing. And we'll talk about at the end of the show as well.
Yeah, at the Dynasty Depot. We're running all kinds of goofy stuff right now. So like any new company, getting a Twitter following is not easy to do.
Yep.
It's a little rough. So we picked up like 500 people in our first 3 weeks. We're pretty excited about that. But at the Dynasty Depot, if you follow us, we're giving away hoodies, T-shirts. I think this week, tomorrow, Friday, we're picking out a free membership. If you look at our pinned post right there, Friday morning, we're going to be hitting out a free All-Pro membership. We're going to be picking random, so just follow and like us, and try to see what we got going on. We got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, and I'd even say check out the website. It's very well laid out, and it all makes sense. So we're going to do I think we can target like FFPC orphans, but then this also applies to orphans in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I've already mentioned, that it's a shallower dynasty league. So in my opinion, like studs are going to be you're going to want the studs more often, especially with it only being a start 8. Is that typically what you found playing in FFPC?
Well, again, it's a mix. When you're looking for an orphan team, people look for different things. Personally, I look for good players and good draft picks over the studs. Okay, you saw this year the 101, the 102, the 103. You got to have depth. I mean, in this NFL, there has to be depth. So I'm looking for. I don't go on there looking for McCaffrey or Barkley. I don't. I'm fine. With Miles Sanders as my RB1. I really am. But I'm looking for, Miles Sanders and Chubb and, a rookie. That would be like an ideal start and a decent pick. You got to have because if you look last year, Jake, man, if you look in the middle of the second round and you see where those receivers went and look what they're doing right now, you got to have the picks. You just got to. You might get lucky and win one year, but it's not longevity, man.
And you honestly reminded me that whenever I was looking for orphans, this was with safe leagues again, but I bet it's the same thing for FFPC. A lot of those orphans are probably not going to have picks. And so then if you want the picks, that's where you need to get, you need to get that quick looking at it. And like, if someone's just like, I need to get off this team and they have 3, mid 2021 first picks, that's going to go super fast because that's what people like. They like that rookie draft.
I could tell you this, and this is true, that when teams are posted on orphans, before I look at the players, I look at the picks. Okay, I'll literally look at the picks. I might see 102, and then I'll look at the roster and see what I would do. not the other way around. Okay,
I
my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. And we've talked about longevity and how, you want that balance of youth to the vets, but even the vets, like you probably want to keep it, 27, maybe 28 is your like older elite guys. Obviously, if you have Julio on a team, like hopefully you have a team that can potentially win and then also build into a 2022 victory as well. And I would say also, like for me, I only play in Superflex leagues. So I'd say for me, having at least three solid QBs, which solid isn't, it's hard to say because there's like a very hard cutoff after like QB 10. And after that, it just falls off a cliff. So if you could somehow get two top 10 quarterbacks with like another quarterback, like say a Tom Brady or a Ben Roethlisberger, to have like that long-term viability as a team, I think that that's a pretty solid super flex team. I don't know how much super flex you play in though.
I play in a lot, and I think this year is almost different than any other year because going into next year's drafts, okay, where was Josh Allen taken last year? Where's he going to be this year? Okay, right? Where was Wilson? The difference between Allen and Wilson and Mahomes and to some extent Lamar, I wouldn't give up on him yet, but those guys, Murray is probably the 101 next year in Superflex, right? Him or Mahomes.
I'm still very much Mahomes' side, but I know a lot of people are going to see that age number there, and they're going to get a little giddy inside.
Well, they're going to see that. They're going to see the rushing yards, which is really making a difference, right? So, but I mean, to have one of those top-tier quarterbacks on a Superflex team gives you extreme flexibility in how you continue on your path in the draft.
Yeah, one thing I didn't mention as well is the scoring, which it's a PPR scoring from what I saw, and then also quarterbacks is 4 point per touchdown, so that does make those rushing quarterbacks like the Kyler Murrays and Josh Allen's more valuable.
Okay, so it is 4 points passing, 6 points rushing.
Gotcha.
Okay, now not in Superflex, but in standard. But here, what's one thing we didn't mention? The biggest difference between FFPC and everybody out there, it's a tight end premium league, meaning 1.5 per reception for tight ends. So you see every draft I've done in the last 10 years, Kelsey goes in the first round.
Gotcha.
Kittle goes close to the first round. That tight end premium, I don't buy into it, okay, but people seem to really do, and it really changes drafts around. Tight ends go earlier.
Yeah, I've looked into tight end premium, and I think it helps like the guys like the Kelsey and the Kittle. But then like we saw this year, Mark Andrews has sort of fallen off a little bit, and then you have Darren Waller and Hawkinson who's done pretty well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how next year works with Kelsey and Kittle because Kittle was hurt, and everybody's gonna have that sour taste in their mouth versus Kelsey who's just been dominating.
He will, and he'll drop down a little bit, and just like you saw like 3 years ago, I guess, when Todd Gurley had the big year and then dropped off and then came back and had the monster year, which people were getting him, on the wrap of 2 and 3, and that's probably what will happen with Kittle next year. You're right.
Yeah. Have you noticed anything with your tight ends? Because I actually I love tight end position, which sounds weird because they're like the worst position to like look at for fantasy because they're so up and down. But have you found that your teams that typically have that better tight end play better? Or does it just depend on your all-around team and it doesn't matter on the tight end position?
You know what? In FFPC, my better teams have the better tight ends, even though I just told you I don't consider it. But they do because now you're taking 1.5 Kelsey with 8-9 catches a game, right? Compared to Hooper with 4 for 40. And now you're putting 1.5 in there. It's a difference maker. And FFPC, you tend to flex a lot of times a tight end because of that 1.5.
Yeah, that makes sense. So look at the rookie picks. Also peep at that tight end position a little bit. See if you're going to be completely screwed or not. Because, yeah, if you can have some solid rookie picks, maybe a Kelsey or a Kittle, and if you're doing super flex 2 superstar QBs, that's a team you buy now. You don't play around with it.
It's a buy now. That's a buy it now. And you'll find you're going to find those on Dynasty Depot. You're going to I know the players that are going to be posting already that have already committed, and They have good teams. The problem, like I said, is people like to draft. So not too many idiots have 110 teams like I do. A lot of good dynasty players will have 20 or 30, though. I know a lot of 20 or 30s. And you're going to take those bottom 10, 15 and try to flip them for money and then redraft some maidens this year in higher money levels. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to watch. And I'll also say from whenever I've gone looking for orphans, like just stay consistent with it. If you get the text messages, that makes it even easier. Just because you can see the team and then quickly look at who's on that team, because it's easy to get super frustrated. But once you just realize like there is going to be that one or two teams that you just see and you're like, oh my goodness, this is the team I want. And then you go after it and potentially you get that discount like we talked about with the bidding on it, or you just buy now for maybe the exact price of the league or maybe a little bit cheaper. Because I can see people, $77 leagues doing like 60 or maybe 70 is a little bit cheaper.
It is. They're going to be able to do that. But like I said, maybe you want to get into a $500 league, okay, and feel that out. Maybe you're going to get a team for $150, $200 on a bid, and now you're in a $500 league. Well, $500 league, first place pays $2,500. Not bad if you put in $200 and did your magic. You're going to have all off season to flip it. You're going to have the rookie pick sitting in front of you. So, you know what Dynasty's about. You're the general manager of the team. How good are you? You have your opportunity, but this gives you an opportunity to maybe buy something out of your price range, yet you're in that league, and see how that goes.
Yeah, I like that a lot, because then you're able to try it out. And then quick question off of that, though. Let's say someone did, get that $2,500 league for like $500. The next year when they're doing it, they would then go back to 2,500 for that next year, correct?
You're buying the team at a discount for the year. Correct. You're committing to that, and you're laying out the deposit for that. So going back to the 250 teams, it's just an easy number with the $100 deposit. You might get that for $75, but you still have to put that $100 refundable deposit down in case you decided to walk away. And if you put it for sale, the next guy will be posting that 100. You obviously get your 100 back. And that's Dynasty Depot comes right back around. Let's say you're like, it's a little bit too much for me. You sell your team and hopefully you made it better and you make a profit. I like it. Right. And like I said, I think people are going to draft maiden teams. They're going to draft 77 and 250 maiden teams, put a 77 up for sale for 140 because they did a great job drafting. Go ahead and spin that into a higher level league and not even play it down.
Gotcha. You're giving some people ideas. I know their heads thinking about it, It'll be interesting to see, because there's always opportunities to be made with drafts that happen in February and March, that if you do it just right, oh man, you can make some nice teams.
Listen, that's just a great point. I mean, the guys that drafted right this year, and like the guys that took Taylor early, okay, and Dobbins early, aren't feeling great about themselves. But the guy that took Swift and Jefferson, right, you're feeling pretty good, right? And if you would have done that right, those teams they're worth a lot of money now.
And even Herbert, he's someone that people were getting second round.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Second or third, right.
That's true. So awesome. I had a blast tonight. So we mentioned already the promo code for the All Pro membership, Charter 20 for 40% off.
Correct.
Do you have anything else you want my listeners to do? I know they should check you out on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Like I said, we're running all kinds of stuff and giving away a free All Pro membership right now that's being chosen Friday by my marketing company at the Dynasty Depot on Twitter. We really appreciate the follows and the likes. The website is dynastydepot.com. Use Charter 20 on an All-Pro membership. It knocks 40% off. You'll get all the goodies that I said, the Roster Watch membership, the texting, bid buying and selling, everything. Roster Watch's exclusive rankings. We have an affiliation with our site sponsor. It's a Vegas hotel that just opened. I don't know if heard of Circa. It just opened out in Vegas last week, the largest sports book in the world. They are our site sponsor. They're very excited about Dynasty Depot and are doing a lot of things with us. And I think we're heading in the right direction, man.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like talking to you right now and looking at before. Definitely was super excited. So I want to thank you for coming on, Nelson.
Thanks.
Everyone, go and follow at the Dynasty Depot on Twitter. Also, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review to the Snake in the Draft podcast. If you ever listen to podcasts, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and let's be snakes this season. All right.